Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy, the Road Dog, with none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the doctor of business coaching, Karl Bryan.
There you go. Shoots. How's it going? I was waiting for I wouldn't know where you're going there, Shoots, but here we go.
It's magic, because honestly, sometimes I don't even know where I'm going. It's sort of like going shopping with my wife. You never know where you're going to end up. Like it's always a mystery, bud. So there you go.
Understand that dynamic.
Hey, in that vein, this is actually a perfect pivot. I appreciate the setup. It's almost as if it was planned. But you and I both know we're not that organized. When it comes to being organized, and just basically, because, a lot of people are obviously, there's always the quarterly and the annual plans, but like if you watered that down on a week by week basis, how do you structure your week? And then do you have like a strategic plan and framework? And then I'm gonna tag on to one of my own questions there. When do you do it? Do you do it on Fridays, Sundays, or Monday morning?
Nice. Okay, so question is, do I get a structure for the week, and is it like a strategic plan, and then you bolt it on when do I create that strategic plan? Is that right?
Like you know how some people like to just wrap up the week by just being ready, and that way they can relax. Some people love doing it on Sunday, so they're geared up for the next morning, and other people leave it to Monday morning. So how do you do all that? What's your framework? What's your strategy? What's your structure?
I gotcha. Okay. All right. I might just go a bit macro before we go micro. Like 50% of my week is going to be spent 12. Well, when I calendarize it, and we do that, with different colors and all that sort of thing. So 50% of my week is 12 to 24 months ahead, right? So I'm thinking of what's coming, looking for trends, and just, we've got 30 plus staff and just thinking of what that might look like, right? 25% of my week is working with my team, right? So these are people that we have that are building teams of coaches underneath them, and then also management. So I put them in the same basket. 25% of my team is helping them, and I'm helping them problem solve and hoping, my goal is to motivate them. I know you'd have to ask them if I'm doing a good job of that, but the goal is to motivate them and paint a bit of a picture, and this is where we're going, and help them solve problems so that they feel, that they're not alone and well and truly have a team behind them. And then 25% of my week would be dealing with what I call it, just short term. This is the stuff that you just, short term problem solving, let's call it. So 50% thinking, 12 to 24 months ahead, 25% motivating and working with my team, quote unquote, and then 25% allocated towards got a minute meetings and all that sort of stuff, right? It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but that's the framework that I use, and I think that everybody should have it. Again, not perfect, frankly, not even close, but it's if I go to my calendar right now, you'd see it. So to anybody listening, do you have a macro framework? Are you going to create one? I think that would be a good idea. And I just think people will be, you've experienced this, Road Dog, right? You just become 100 times more effective when you've got that. So that's the macro. And then the micro, I think as far as, following this, I really think that Monday, ideally Sunday night, I think every night everybody should be going through and thinking about, if somebody can't sleep, I can tell you that very common, if they create a to-do list, and the more defined and the better that to-do list is for the following day, you'll often find that they fall asleep and, sleep like a baby. It's the anxiety, it's the anxiousness that that keeps people awake. And of course, diet and exercise, we could bring that into it, but let's not go there. I'll tell you that the average business owner can't sleep. Create a to-do list and be very, very clear on what you're going to do the following day. I think you're going to find that they will sleep at a higher level. More important than that, well, as important as that, is that the next day they're going to be significantly more effective. So Road Dog, I think the obvious thing is on Monday, having a look at my week and making a bit of a game. This is micro, right? On Monday, having a look at my week and going, okay, what's to come? Do I have my percentages right? How many meetings do I have? How many spaces do I have for emergencies and for problems that do need to be solved on a short-term basis? I don't want too many of those, but I do need to have a few because it happens. You'd be crazy to think that Elon Musk doesn't have, or Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs back in the day, that they didn't have, things that they needed to handle on a day by day, in some cases hour by hour, but let's just say day by day, week by week basis. So on Monday, having a look at my calendar. On Friday, looking back on how I did and assessing, taking some notes, and then thinking about strategically how I can make the following week better. So, Road Dog, and then every single night, I think assessing, what's to come the following day, and before the day starts, having a look at my calendar, preparing. So the answer to your question, I think, is it's a day by day thing, and complemented by week. As in Sunday night, Monday morning, ready to rock and roll, and then Friday, how did I do? That answer your question, Road Dog? How did I do? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say, tell me what you think of this, because this is the framework that I was taught years ago, and I was reminded of it on a coaching call I was on Thursday.
Yeah.
And that is, if you're making less than $1 million inside of your business, 80% of your time, if you are your boss, the solopreneur, the CEO, if you're making less than $1 million, 80% of your time needs to be focused on revenue generating activities. So, and then it's down to 3 chunks: getting clients, keeping clients, and everything else, knowing that the bucket of getting clients is probably 80% of your focus. Would you agree with that for anyone doing less than $1 million?
So, little red arrow, you are here. Like if this guy's on the pre-show, we open somebody up, he's semi-retired, he's a pastor, he's kind of, you know what I mean? He's not interested in making $1 million a year. So I think the roadmap for him is going to be slightly adjusted. I would also dare say, Road Dog, that little red arrow, you are here. Is their airplane on the tarmac? Is it in launch, or is it at 10,000 feet? Right? Because again, they could be at $500,000 and just getting going, and then they could be at $500,000 and be 3 to 4 years into it. So I don't disagree. But the closer the guy got to $1 million, I would hope that again he wouldn't be doing the lead generation activity. He'd be farming that out. But certainly a good percentage of his time should be spent in revenue generating activities, if his goal is to, grow to 7 figures and then surpass. So yeah, I would agree with that. The only caveat is little red arrow, you are here. And then what do they want? Right. But a company that's looking to grow and they're at 500 grand, and then the plan is to get to 5 million. Well, they need to have a very clear, defined roadmap to drive business, most definitely. Yeah.
Do you think most people have a clue at what revenue generating activities actually are, and actually tracking those?
I do not. I would say that it is horrifically mismanaged, is what I would say. Yes. But I also think that really, really easy once they once they really define the problem and go, my problem, like Road Dog, I think what you just said, like their problem isn't lead generation. Their problem is they don't even know what lead generation is for them. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, and that's just it, right? You can have, let's say you're doing 4 different things to generate leads and appointments and whatever. Do you know which one is the best for you, and then like altering that and making sure that you spend more time doing that, and you know what I mean? Like it's always fascinating to me because I'm a numbers guy and I like to analyze things almost to death at times, but I just think that's a super important metric as well. But that being said, I'm gonna go to a very dangerous rabbit hole-ish question, because somebody had asked, ask Karl what business slash coaching things that he's thinking about. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to ask that question because I don't know where we're going to go with it. We could be here for the next 3 hours, but you know what? As they say, it's time to get uncomfortable. So here we go, Shoots. This is your big moment. What's on your mind these days when it comes to business and coaching?
Kind of like the question, to be honest with you. It's good. But I know we have done this, and then I can't remember one time you asked me something similar. And then they're like, yeah, that's a wrap. We've gone over time. It's over. So I don't know. I don't know. Peace of mind. I just think like my personal peace of mind is priceless. And I know as I'm saying that, people are listening and like, yeah, well, who, as if mine's not. But I don't know. You clearly, it's like a minute ago. It's like you clearly define the problem, as in lead generation is not your problem. Your problem is you don't even have a game plan around lead generation. You don't have a metric to be able to track. So once you define the question properly, define the problem properly, the answer and the solution kind of becomes obvious. So peace of mind is just priceless. That is absolutely one wrong conversation can derail productivity for weeks. So emotionally, and that's not as well for me. Yeah, I've absolutely been guilty of that. I don't know that I've been guilty of that anytime recently, but emotionally, I just like to protect myself nowadays, and I'm really working to not let things bother me. Anxiety is like a rocking chair, right? I'll give you something to do, but it's not going to get you anywhere. And by the way, anxiety. For anybody listening, that anxiety is something that they suffer from or people around them, and I dare say that a huge percentage of the population suffer from anxiety. The foundation of anxiety is feeling unsafe, and I personally think that's powerful. So, because I think by understanding the root of a emotion, and this is your coaching client, right? If they're feeling anxiety, understanding that it's not their to-do list, right? It's feeling unsafe, and then feeling unsafe from what? Their marriage, from relationship with their kid, and maybe that's not our kids, and that's not going the way that they want it to go. Worried about their kids, and then their kids becoming unsafe themselves, which would make them feel, you know what I mean? Like understanding that the foundation of anxiety is feeling unsafe. I just think that the power of that is insane. I think it's pretty profound. But like people living in fear respond with anger, right? Like I said in a YouTube video recently that judgment is shallow and then empathy is deep, right? So like my recommendation is to like work hard to go deep and be empathetic. And I think that when you do that, my opinion and what I have experienced is that by going deep and then going to understand the problem, right, and being empathetic as opposed to being judgmental, it stopped me in my tracks because then you know what I mean. There would be no reason to go deep and down a rabbit hole and have some uncomfortable conversation kind of thing, and then which would turn into something that could potentially derail you for a period of time. There's no need, right? Like you just be highly empathetic. Think of like you've got a bouncer at a bar. What's his job? His job is not to beat people up and throw people out. His job is to talk to people, right? Like that's the job of a really good bouncer, is to stop confrontation, not create confrontation. So I don't know. So just, if you think about that, the peace of mind, I think, is absolutely, just something to protect. And for those listening, I think that the wrong conversation can, derail your productivity for a long period of time. And that is worth protecting. And I don't think people are looking at it quite that way, Road Dog. And I think that might be more motivational than protecting peace of mind, if you know what I mean. Right. And you never know what someone else is going through. Right. Be kind. There's that meme out there. I can't remember what it is, but just you don't know what someone else is going through, and everybody's going through something. That's for damn sure, right? So, and like ultimately, stress, Road Dog, is taking something small and making it big, right? So you start arguing with an idiot. What are you going to do? You're going to create two. So I don't know. So my peace of mind, that's just something, Road Dog, that I might provide some value. Something else I was thinking is, I have been thinking, like remaining calm when feeling disrespected is like a superpower. Like my personal kryptonite is disrespect. When I feel disrespected, I think I had this inherited from my father. In fact, I'm positive. But I just, you know what I mean? I get disrespected. That is when I'll see red, and I will start saying things and doing things and acting in a way and sending an email and maybe a text that will, you know what I mean? That'll disrupt my peace of mind. So by knowing that and defining it clearly, for me, it's like, hang on a minute, am I pissed off? Or do I feel like somebody's disrespecting me? And then I go to it and I go empathetic as opposed to judgmental. And I think it's super, you know what I mean? It just stops things in the tracks. And again, it protects my peace of mind, right? Protecting, your coaching clients' peace of mind by understanding these things. And believe me, I would dare say that they just don't. Like, what is their kryptonite? What is your kryptonite? Like, Road Dogg, what's your kryptonite? Somebody listening, what's your kryptonite? Right. And I think it's really, really powerful to get on top of it. And by understanding it, I think that can save you a lot. So that's something that that's not what I'm thinking about. Like they say, like on this there's three things people need to be truly happy. Notice that. It's someone to love. I might make a meal of this. It's someone to love. It's something to do, and then something to be hopeful for, something to hope for. Right. Like, help your clients do those three things. Again, find someone to love, something to do, something to hope for, right? And like, I don't know, every person, friend, family member, they could use some help with that. And by the way, this brings me back to an email that I sent out ages ago, but again, had like a really positive, positive response. But it's like, there's three magical bits of information trapped inside anybody that you could bring out. And it came from a conversation. I met a guy who just seemed like a really cool, really together guy. And we sat there and we started chatting. And again, if I'm going to chat to somebody, I'd rather go deep than shallow, just my nature, right? Like, I don't know. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, I want to get to know this guy. This is like a really cool guy. We hit it off. We were like, talking for ages. We were, at a all-inclusive kind of resort dealio. The wives were doing their thing, right? We're just sitting there. But it was like, turns out the guy had cancer, an incurable cancer. And to say that it had a profound effect on me, I actually wrote about it. The next few days in my emails, I actually wrote about it. So it's right there. But one of the things that I said is that if I didn't go deep, with that individual, and I kind of just had like a fleeting conversation and talked to the guy beside him, and then came back to that guy, and then somebody else, which, by the way, would be totally fine. But like I like to go deep. I like to talk to people, and you know what I mean. And of course, dynamics understood, right? That in some situations that's not always going to be the case for me, and probably for you. But more to the point, Road Dogg, what I'm trying to say is everybody they're afraid of something, they love something, and they've lost something, right? And that is like the billionaire, that is Elon Musk, that is Jeff Bezos, that is Tony Robbins, that is Road Dogg, that is me, that is you, right? They're afraid of something, they love something, and they've lost something. If you can speak to somebody with that as a framework, right? And I don't know, cheesy, maybe, I don't know. But if you were to, like, what's this guy afraid of? What does this guy really love? And then what is this, what has lost? This guy particularly lost his health, by the way, right? And I'm sure, but unbelievable guy. We're still on Facebook. I still, very inspirational guy, right? But I don't know. I think that there's power in that, and understanding that. So your coaching client, rather than talking to them about upsell, downsell, cross sell, look, why everybody's been to McDonald's, and then what do they say? Do you want fries with that? Right? And then it's, do you want a Happy Meal with that? Do you want a Happy Meal? Do you want me to turn that into a meal? And do you want a Happy Meal for the kids? Right? Like the McDonald's formula is right there. But right next door is like a small burger joint that doesn't have the franchise to do. You walk in there, order a burger, order a Coke, and then watch what the guy who owns the place is serving you. His wife is serving you. And what don't they ask? Do you want fries with that? My question is, they've heard it, they've seen it. Why don't they do it? Right? And they're afraid of something. They love something. They lost something. Like they're afraid of something. And that's like it not working and not being able to train the staff. And if the 16-year-old daughter is working the till, and they say, you got to say, do you want fries with that? She doesn't do it. Now they got to reprimand her. Now they're, have this icy relationship between daughter and dad. And then she's going to quit. And he's afraid of that because now he's got to bring somebody else in and he can't trust that person. And there's a lot of cash going in and out of the till. You know what I mean? Like just understanding like why is it that he's not doing that will be significantly more powerful than telling him, hey, you should say, do you want fries with that? Right? So question is for anybody listening, like, what are you afraid of? What do you love? And then what have you lost? And then maybe, I know what I mean, go a little bit deeper. Like what I'm trying to say here, have a conversation with yourself. And it's like, how is that affecting your day-to-day life? How is that affecting your business? And in my opinion, that's a very powerful exercise, you know, like again, just, and it might help you with protecting what it is that you want to protect. And that's your productivity, your efficiency, like playing on social media, like getting offended by something posted on social media is like choosing to step in dog crap and then, you know, as opposed to walking around it, right? And see very smart people doing that on social media and spending an enormous amount of time there. And it's just crazy, you know? And I also think just Road Dog, like accept that life is hard. Remember, God provides food for the birds, but he doesn't throw the worms into the nest, right? You gotta go get yours. You can be the smartest guy, the most successful business owner. You could have a Harvard degree. But if you want to go make $1 million a year as a business coach, I'm going to tell you that the roadmap is there. You know, Road Dog and I, you know, effectively, you know, have laid it out multiple times. You know what I mean? Like, Lord knows how many times we've just laid it out step by step, exactly what you got to do in the podcast. Obviously, with focus.com, we've got the software, we got the roadmap, we've got the, you know, the tracks that you follow. But like, so it's right there. But the question is, why don't you do it? You know what I mean? And your past does not, you know what I mean? Just because you have a Harvard degree doesn't mean that people are just going to automatically find you and sign up for your business coaching. You got to go get yours. So I don't know, Road Dog, that's things I'm thinking about. I guess how I kind of got there, just like peace of mind is absolutely priceless. And, you know, I'm thinking of ways that I can protect that bad boy. I don't know that that's necessarily the best answer because there's other business coaches looking to generate leads and they're trying to form a joint venture with, you know, the accountant and they're trying to fill their live event. And I totally get that. But we've talked about that so many times in the past. It's literally there as a step-by-step roadmap. So I think that, and if you're going to fill your local live event and put 10 people, if you're really calm, you know, and you're not letting anxiety get the best of you and you're just operating from a real, you know, a place of, you know, calm, I think I think it's going to be easier to go get yours. It's going to be easier for you to follow the roadmap. So that's, I don't know, Road Dog, how do I do? What do you think? Anything to add, subtract, comment?
Yeah, no, good. Interesting. Peace of mind is definitely not where I thought you would end up going. I'm surprised that it didn't go to Tom Brady as an example. Like that's kind of shocking, but here we are. Here we are. Hey,
Tom Brady.
What's that?
Man, great legend. Now single. Oh.
I'm not even touching that. I'm not even gonna go there as much as I want to right now. I'm just gonna leave that one alone. By the way, okay. Well,
single, man. Could you imagine the girls that are throwing themselves at this guy? My gosh, life. Seriously, if you're Tom Brady, shoots. I mean, life is different. You know what I mean? Like,
listen, but I'm not even gonna lie. I look at him lately. He just looks unhealthy. He just looks too thin, right? It's unbelievable. Just that's just super weird to me. But anyways, it's but then, dude, there's so many weird things going on. I'm not sure if you saw speaking of social media, the Facebook post. A certain mutual friend of ours has given up his allegiance to the Patriots for the remainder of the season. Is now cheering for the Vikings. Have you seen this?
I saw that. I did see that.
How because the funny thing is, if anybody else would have posted something like that, he would have been all over it. Like it would have been absolutely hilarious to see. But yet, anyways, I love it. Just hey, man, there you go. It's speaking of distractions, which kind of leads me to the next question: how do you stop mundane tasks from halting progress, from stopping you from achieving big goals, and help coaching clients do the same? Like this is. And that's not even a mundane task. That's just a flat out distraction. But sometimes we have these silly little tasks that just keep us stuck. Wouldn't you agree? Like, so what what tips and advice do you have around that?
Okay, sorry, I just want to make sure I understand the question. So, how do we stop the silly tasks from halting forward progress and big goals
Yes.
that it shoots?
Yeah, and achieving those goals and just sort of, and then at the same time, how can I then, well, I guess if I can apply to myself, then I can apply to my coaching clients, but is there any other sort of level when it comes to, it's one thing to implement things to yourself, as you know, but then do
Yeah,
I need to alter that strategy then to apply to coaching that to my clients as well?
yeah, nice. Um, if you want to fly, you got to let things go that weigh you down, right? And then the question is, what things are weighing you down, right? Maybe that peace of mind thing might be, like his anxiety. Like you wonder why. I always say, if you introduce me to a business coach with a lack of leads, I'll introduce you to a business coach with a lack of confidence. So the homework for that coach, I always say, okay, tonight what I want you to do is pick a niche, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, right? And then write down 50 ways that you are going to help that specific business owner. And I go, again, I don't want you to go macro and put goal setting and time management. That I want you to define, like, exactly, do you want fries with that? What is their equivalent of the fries? You're going to package, you're going to create the Happy Meal. What does the starter kit look like in that industry? Help them define it. And again, with an individual, let's just say you're going to a roofer, right? You're going to a lawyer. The roadmap that you put down is not going to be perfect for each one of them, not even close. But a lot of it, at least 10 of the 50, if not 25 to 40 of the 50, are going to be relevant for that individual. And what's going to happen? You are going to be so motivated to talk to a lawyer, to talk to a roofer, to talk to a business owner that, the landscaper, that you put down 50 ways to help them. You're not going to be able to contain yourself, right? So magically, you will find yourself in front of a roofer, and imagine how much more confident you're going to be, right? So the anxiety of generating leads is weighing you down. You got to let that go. How? By going, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to forget generating leads because that's just stressing me out. What I'm going to do is go build that list that Karl just talked about. And then it's also like eagles don't flock. That's Ross Perot 101. I love Ross Perot. May he rest in peace. But like, stop being afraid of being outnumbered. Remember, eagles fly alone, and then pigeons are flocking, right? So again, don't just play follow. Why do realtors fail? Because they play follow the leader. They just do exactly what everybody else is doing. And in many cases, they literally, their best friend is a realtor, their brother is a realtor, their wife is a realtor, their boss who they hang out with is a realtor, their secretary is a secretary in a real estate firm. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, really easy to understand how they would play follow the leader, right? But the opinion of 1,000 people has no value if they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? And that's not to say that the realtors, that the industry as a whole doesn't know what it's talking about. But I know that if I became a realtor, I wouldn't be going, let's just say in the particular city, the average house is worth $500,000. Well, I guarantee I wouldn't be selling $500,000 homes and just throwing myself into the mud. What I'd do is I'd go to the affluent neighborhood. I would find the $4 million houses. I would start promoting those. I would start selling to those. I would start promoting to the $500,000 houses that I'm selling the $4 million house down the road, and I'm probably not going to be able to look after them, but I might provide them a bit of a 15-minute call to do. You will all of a sudden have those people begging you to become their realtor, right? And then, of course, do you become a realtor to them? The answer is maybe. Depends on what the market looks like. It depends on what your action looks like in the $4 million houses, and if anybody's willing to list with you. And don't think that that's going to happen overnight. But again, you got to go macro before you can go micro. But I would tell you this, that I would, if I became a realtor, which I would not do for any amount of money, because it is a promotion, not a business. That's defined by recurring revenue. There is no recurring revenue effectively in, being a realtor. So therefore it's a bad business, but everybody loves it. They hear about real estate and they're like, oh my gosh, it's my calling, right? They're all like, everybody loves real estate. So it's also too sexy. And that's a bad thing. So when I say sexy, it's really attractive to the average person, which means just look around you and think of how many people you know that either became realtors, are realtors, or are talking about it. It'll be a gross number. I want to stay away from that, right? So anyway, I would try to, if I'm going to go into real estate, which I wouldn't, but again, because I would look for a business with recurring revenue, But I would absolutely demand that I stood out. So I would not, eagles don't flock. I would not be a pigeon in that situation. Um, like what I was talking about, like if I'm going to become a realtor again, which I'm not, if I said that enough, but I would want to be a leader, right? Like when a leader starts talking, the followers feel a little bit intimidated. The the snake oil salesman type, I don't know, is that fair? But like, the snaky types, they feel threatened. But the next leaders feel inspired, right? So think about that again. When a leader starts talking, the next leaders, the people that are gonna be, magnetized to you, that are gonna be attracted to you, they feel inspired, right? And then I would challenge you, like I literally saw a meme just this morning, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like the language, you've got to upgrade your language, right? Like this is almost embarrassing, but so I got this new thing, which I have these new things that I get, right? With my 9-year-old daughter and my wife, right? But I'm like, so I wake up in the morning and I'm like, today is going to be the most powerful day of my life. Right? And I say it and I use the fist motion. And you can imagine if you're 9 years old and this is your dad, you're like, oh my gosh, right? But it's all part of, like, I just think that that's what a great thing to say every morning. In fact, I think I heard Hormozy say that on a podcast, and I was like, that's really good. I'm going to try it. So doing it, look, I've only done it for a very short period of time. I got absolutely no results from it, apart from a daughter who's like, oh my God, Dad, please stop, please stop. But I do believe in this, and that is why I did it, in that upgrading your language, upgrading the words that you use, the language that you use, the 3 and 4 syllable words may or may not fall into that, but certainly the quality of the words, as in positive over negative, I think they can have a really big impact. So look, the most famous speech of all time, right? The most famous speech of all time. What were the 4 words? And if you're listening to this, I know that you know what they are, or there's a really, really good chance. And if you don't, you probably should. But I have a dream. Martin Luther King, right? He didn't start the speech with, I have a game plan. I have a step-by-step plan, right? I have a dream. And then I would challenge you, like people buy the leader before they buy the vision, right? So you gotta be the leader that they buy into, because I can tell you that the world is built. What am I trying to say? Like the pathway, the future looks like the leaders. There's certain leaders that will drive us with their words and their inspirational way that they talk and act, and that we can see their actions. Right? Think of like at the school. There's certain people at my daughter's school that are always putting their hand up and always donating their time, etc. Right? Like just one night, 2 nights, 3 nights, no big deal. When you see it consistently, their words, their actions, they tend to be like they're just automatically become a little bit of a leader, right? Like that's really, really cool. So the people that can articulate that vision in a powerful way will lead us towards the future will look like. I'm talking, my mind's going to blockchain, my mind's going to crypto, my mind's going to artificial intelligence, augmented reality, etc. Right? Some people will guide us towards that, and it will be the way they talk. Okay, what am I saying? Look, I don't want to get all Martin Luther King on everybody, but like when you walk into the joint venture partner's office or your client's office, or you get them on the phone, or a referral goes on the phone, or your friend refers you to somebody and you get them on the phone, what do you sound like? Do you know what I mean? What are the words that you're using? How aspirational, how inspirational are you with what you say, right? And then what I'm trying to say, Road Dog, is maybe saying I have a step-by-step plan might not be as powerful. Well, I guarantee won't be as powerful as saying I have a dream, right? And then what is that dream, right? Like again, I'm gonna raise the consciousness of local business owners and eradicate business failure within 3 years, right? Is that a goal that you're going to achieve? Probably not, right? But I'll tell you, world peace ain't happening either, and people are shooting for it, right? There's a lot of other things that aren't going to be happening, and people are shooting for it. And if you shoot for the moon, you end up in the stars. You're looking pretty good. So I question you, like, how aspirational, how much of a leader do you sound like when you walk into the joint ventures office? Because remember, when a leader starts talking, the next leaders feel inspired. Maybe your accountant that you're speaking to, he doesn't feel like a leader, but he really wants somebody to follow. He wants to really get behind something, and that person could be you. So I don't know, but then be careful. You want to be a leader of leaders, not a leader of needers, right? That's an old cliche you probably heard, but I think real power, right? And then my question is, how involved? Like, you could, maybe the accountant's going to jump on board and he's going to want to be guided by you. But then my question is, are you going to be able to help that accountant? Are you going to be guiding him to become more aspirational, more inspirational to his clients? And then they're going to say, hey, I'm looking to take my business to the next level. I am taking my business to the next level. Well, guess where they're going to end up? And that's with you, right? Like, I don't know. That's, just the business coaching leaders of the group, the ones that are going to show other people the way. And this comes from a place of, I rail against the influencers time and time again. And it's multiple streams of income, and it's passive income, and it's the 4-hour work week, and never work again and make all this money. And you're going to, do this, do that. And you know what I mean? Like, it's, greatness comes with responsibility, right? The price of greatness is exactly that. It's responsibility. And I think that there's a lot of folks that I wouldn't call great by any stretch of the imagination, but they've got your eyeballs, they've got your attention, and then they're shooting stuff out that is like, it's really sexy, and passive income sounds great, and the 4-hour work week sounds great, and systems will set you free. Systems stifle creativity. Systems don't set you free. And of course you need systems. It's a 101. But I tell you, you systematize your business too much, really, professional 16-year-olds will follow the systems, but a professional 45-year-old with a degree from Harvard is not going to want to be systematized to death. They're going to want to work. They're going to want to be, work autonomously, and they're going to want to make a difference, and they're going to want to be able to be shown the direction and help you get there, not be told what to do and say, do you want fries with that? Right. So, but again, on your Facebook page, multiple streams of income and all these fancy cliches, do what you love and make millions. Again, sounds good, but let's show me somebody who's doing that, right? What you got to fall in love with what you do, right? And of course, doing something you love is better than doing something you don't love. But really, the secret is to fall in love with, what you do. At some stage, you got to stop collecting dots and you got to start connecting dots, right? Like looking like a big deal is not the same as being a big deal. Like, that's really, really important. But so I don't know, I don't know if I've done a good job here, Road Dog, mundane tasks that are stopping folks. You gotta recognize what is it that's weighing you down. And, spending time on social media and being envious might fall into the category of halting your progress, because it gives you FOMO. It makes you anxious. It disrupts that peace of mind, right? And again, eagles don't flock. If you're going with the herd, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing that, and you're just, following the leader blindly without reverse engineering and thinking things through. And very importantly, to your point, Road Dog, a few minutes ago, where it's like, if you're not collecting metrics and you're not collecting data, and then you're not making your decisions, you make the decision maybe by gut, but gut stands for what? Gave up thinking, right? So that can get you started. But what I really want you to do is, I want you to collect data, collect metrics, start measuring something, so that that, look, live events. When I do a live event, I put 10 people in the room. That costs me X amount. I close X amount of, 3 and 10 people that come to my event close. And then of those 3 people, a percentage, 33% quit at the 6-month mark. 33% stay for 12 months and beyond, and the other 33%, quit sooner, or whatever that number looks like. Like, do your metrics and do the math, and then you know exactly what it is that you need to be doing. So I think that, by halting progress, if on a macro level the micro steps that you need to take in order to achieve those big goals, I think that's the trick is to, get that bigger picture. Not to mention that, you need to take action. All the biggest goals in the world are not going to do diddly squat if you're not going to, take massive action. So I don't know, Road Dog. That's what I that's what I would say. But yeah, when a leader, it's like when a leader starts talking, the next leaders feel inspired. Well, that's what you want is, the business coaching clients. You want them to be the next leaders. You want them to feel magnetized to you by talking small and using lame language. I don't think you're going to do that, but saying stuff like, I have a dream, and then outlining that dream in a powerful way. I don't see how that's not going to help your conversions and up. What it's really going to do is it's going to hurt your conversions. It's going to hurt the number of leads. But what it's going to do is increase the quality of those leads, and you're going to be getting way bigger, way better business owners, better clients. You want to upgrade your business, upgrade your clients, right? Quickest and easiest way to do it. So, Shoots, that's what I got. What do you think? How'd I do?
What was the question again? Anyways, that was quite the rabbit hole, Shoots. That could be, that's one for the history books right there, bud. I love it. I'm gonna start setting a timer to each one of these because I need to know those metrics of how long does Karl spend on each answer. Listen, a couple things. I'd love to talk about pigeons, and I'd also love to talk about sexy, but we're gonna leave those two amazing topics aside for a second. You talk about waking up and all this learning new words and all that stuff. Can I just throw it out there? Like, how many people are actually aware of the language patterns that they're currently running? Like, is anyone holding you accountable to the words that you say? Is anyone actually like cross-checking you and sort of going, holy smokes, like, are you listening to the words coming out of your mouth? Because the language that we use a lot of the time, it's amazing how limiting it truly is. So, and you may not even realize it. You may not even really even have a clue that you're doing it. So I would encourage everyone to make sure that you've got people around you that can point it out, and then don't be offended by it, right? Like, it's just, like for me, I've got a weekly group. There's 9 of us. We've been meeting for over 3 years. And that's what we do. Like, it's just like, whoa, are you listening to your language patterns? So when you got to upgrade that, exactly what Karl was saying, upgrade the language and the words that you use, but at the same time, don't try to sound smart, right? Like, Karl, how many times have you seen that? People just, they walk into a room and they just try to sound smart and they end up just looking stupid. Like, happens all the time, right?
It's not being authentic, right?
Exactly, right?
That's 100% shits.
So I would just say, like, just be more true to who you are, and don't, you don't have to use fancy words to be inspiring and to be a leader. Like, that's all I'm going to say about that. So I just think, but be really aware of the words that you're currently using and how limiting they might be, because that very well, right? Like, Karl does his incantations. It's not like he does those because just for fun, right? Like, it's because words become sort of beliefs in your mind, and then what you believe builds more confidence, and then on and on and on. So I don't know. What do you think there, bud?
Shoots, well, totally agree. High five. I just think what you say to yourself about yourself when you're by yourself, that's the other thing. But I think that's the one that they can't check, but you can. I gave everybody an exercise. In fact, I gave this guy an exercise last week, but shout out to Matt. But like, so just go to a mirror, right? And close the door. No phone, no drinking water, no getting up and going to the bathroom in an hour by yourself. Just got a stool and maybe, a chair with a back if you feel comfortable, depending upon your back and whatnot. But the bottom line is that sit in front of a mirror and stare at yourself for an hour straight. 30 minutes if you can't bear an hour straight. And it's not a blinking contest, right? It's just you're staring at yourself. And I got to tell you that there probably be, well, I don't know what there will be for you, but you might find that it is a highly, highly, highly emotional, kind of 1 hour. And I would encourage anybody to do it. And you might come out of that room. But no phone, and don't you have phone in the next room so that it can ring and then bother you. And again, no drinking water and taking, you know what I mean? Like, just, and if I don't know, you need water, drink a little bit of water. But what I don't want to do is you don't want to disrupt what will be happening, which would be very, very powerful. So I don't know, that Road Dog a little bit different, but that's like more introspective as opposed to what you're saying with the group challenging you and your patterns. But because I'll tell you this, Road Dog, next level, it's one thing to see the behavior. It is next level, times a million, by the way, but it is next level to see the patterns behind the behavior, right? And again, I did that may or may not land with some folks, but I'll tell you, for me, the power of that is insane. It's again like a smoker, right? Like a smoker wakes up, has a cigarette in the morning, has a cigarette after they eat, and then a cigarette before bed, right? So if you want to stop somebody from smoking, you've got to combat those three dynamics, and the rest of it becomes a lot. Now, you're 80% of the way there, but you just got to identify those kind of, maybe those small hinges, big doors, those dominoes that knock over a lot of the others, not all of them necessarily, but a lot of the others. And it's just thinking macro. But anyways, yes, I think that's a really powerful exercise, Road Dog. But I totally agree with what you're saying, is that having people around you see the patterns of language would be something I would encourage everybody to have, for sure.
There you go. The man in the mirror exercise is super powerful, but folks, you don't have to do it like Karl. You can actually keep your clothes on. So there you go. All right. With that being said, and I'm so glad I could plant that visual in everyone's brains right there. Why don't you close us out, Shoots? What's one thing that they can take from today besides that beautiful image? What can they take out of this podcast today?
I might say something I didn't, like the mundane. I don't think I did a good job of like answering the mundane task. The fact that Road Dog started laughing after I finished, probably an indication that I didn't handle it as well as ideal. But like those mundane, what is going to stop you from the bigger picture? And what I would do is I would give everybody an exercise similar to what we just did, but an exercise, and just measure, like, what is it? Because little red arrow, you are here, and it's going to be one thing for Road Dog, it's going to be one thing for me, and it's going to be another thing for you, right? So doing an exercise where what you do is you log everything you do, ideally every 15 minutes. If that's too much, every half hour. If that's too much, every hour. But you log what you do for a 7-day period. Ideally, again, do it for an entire month, and it's going to be significantly more data, which is going to be better. But like, do an exercise where you're just measuring what it is that you're doing. And then I don't want you to be looking for the behaviors, but I also want you to be thinking, what are the patterns behind my behavior, right? Like if you're spending way too much time in the morning making your coffee, getting yourself ready, getting behind the computer, if that's like a 30-minute process for you, and you could dial it down into 10 minutes and then get an extra 20 minutes in the morning, remember an hour in the morning is worth 2 in the afternoon, you might find that pattern of, getting the coffee, tooting around and getting in front of your computer, if you can, and that's before the kids are up and that sort of thing, like in other words, maybe that's a really important time for you, and maybe it's after midnight, because you're like a night owl on steroids, but like, basically do that. Log everything you do for 7 days and ideally 30 days. The more data, the better decisions, the more patterns you're going to see. And I think that's going to answer the question for you. Because remember, when you clearly define it, the answer kind of, just comes there for you. And so it's like artificial, and there's a lot of talk, artificial intelligence that. I see it everywhere on my Facebook, and everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, right? You understand that artificial intelligence it's not that it's nothing, but machine learning is what's important to artificial intelligence. So what that means is that on day one, like the artificial intelligence tool, we'll call it, will never be dumber than on the first minute, the first hour, the first day, the first week. The machine learning component of it is that the more data that it gets, the better decisions the artificial intelligence can make on your behalf. So the machine learning, so you get it? So like, that's like Netflix. You go and then you watch, like you're watching, what do you call them? Romantic comedies over and over again. Well, then what's Netflix do? They put romantic comedies in front of you, right? Well, they couldn't do that on day one, and they couldn't do that in week one, but in their month one, quarter one, 1 year, they can absolutely see the trend. So they've got more data. right? Like again, Amazon, the books you're buying romantic novels, right? Well, then they're putting romantic novels in front of you. If you're buying marketing books, they're putting marketing books in front of you. But the machine learning, it needs to see your data. The more data it gets, the better decisions it can make on your behalf. So my way of saying, if you capture what you do for 7 days, that's going to be great. But if you do it for 15 minutes, it's going to be more powerful than doing it every hour. The more data, the more machine learning you can put in there, the more data you can put in there. So do it for 30 days every 15 minutes. My goodness, the data that you're going to have, the information you're going to have, the behaviors you're going to be able to recognize the patterns behind the behaviors. Remember, don't just look for the behaviors when you do that. Look for the patterns behind the behaviors. It's like every diet works until 7 o'clock, right? Where you get murdered between 7 and bedtime, that's where your diet goes sideways, right? Road dog's mine and yours. It's the same for pretty much everybody. So what you got to do, so starting a diet without a plan after 7 is a bad idea, right? Just guaranteed it's going to be a challenge for you. So looking for the behavior, shoot. So that's what I'm going to, there's an exercise for everybody.
Love it. Love it. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the King of the Caribbean, Karl Bryan himself. And if you're looking for more romantic comedy sort of tips or book tips, or you aren't getting access to Karl's, daily emails, or just want more information on not just romantic comedies, but also how to actually build a successful business coaching business, visit focus.com and subscribe today. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share with a fellow coach or anybody that you actually get along with and like. And of course, as always, we'd appreciate if you'd rate the episode, as we know that stuff drives up the ratings. And that's what we're trying to do, is bump up the ratings on a week by week basis. So if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. And that is it for another week. We will see you on the next episode. And remember, folks, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.